adopted by the Township Council in accordance with the Sunshine Law in the following manner. Notice advertised in the Burlington County Times and Camden Courier Post on January 16, 2018, and posted on the bulletin board on the same date. Ms. Correa?
Here.
Mr. Burrell?
Here.
Mrs. Flody?
Here.
Mr. O'Connell?
Here.
Mr. Cattrick?
Here. So we have a couple of action items we have to take care of. I'm going to start with Resolution 2018-150. This is a refunding of an overpayment of a 2018 food handler license fee to ShopRite, but Delran in the amount of $25.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Flody?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye. Next, we have Resolution 2018-151. This is a resolution authorizing the tax collector to create a sewer account and 2018 billing for 1213 Peachtree Court.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Flody?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye. Next, we have Resolution 2018-152. These are the ones that we love to do, and this is approving a totally disabled veterans exemption for Block 3, Lot 8. Make a motion?
Second.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Flody?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye. Next, we have Resolution 2018-153. This is approving another totally disabled veterans exemption for Block 120.01, Lot 9.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Flody?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye. Next, we have Resolution 2018-154, confirming the appointment of Jennifer Diaz as a Registrar of Vital Statistics for a term to expire December 31st, 2020.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Flody?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye. Next, we have Resolution 2018-155. This is approving another totally disabled veterans exemption for Block 31, Lot 38.
So moved.
Second. Okay.
Patty can take.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Flody?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye.
Second.
Next, we have Resolution 2018-156. This is authorizing the executive session to discuss the following negotiations with Stelweg Farms redevelopment agreement, including an update on our COA litigation.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Flody?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye. Next, we have finally Resolution 2018-157. This is a resolution approving final change order for Pheasant Road resurfacing.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, it's final change order and the closeout and final payment.
You have to.
Yeah,
Resolution here.
sorry.
Okay, so it's approving a closeout change order, final payment, and project closeout for Pheasant Run resurfacing.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's
Pheasant Road.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Flody?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye. All right, so we have a pretty full agenda, so let's get started. I'll remind everybody that we'll go through our agenda at the end of once we've completed our agenda, and we have gone through our reports from various staff members and members of council and announcements by the mayor. We will open it up to the public for any public comment. But I ask you to refrain from commenting until we get to that point. So the first item on our agenda is the report of the Jake's Place bids. And Jim, if you would
I'll take
give
that.
us the news.
Well, we received bids today for the contract, which would be a contract that the township would enter into a contractor to build the base improvements for the playground. The playground itself and the safety surfacing is going to be done through state contract and through community build, but there's a component that you can't do through state contract. That's like the curbs and excavation and the grading and the earthwork. We received one bidder today, and the price was significantly higher than what we've estimated. We think it's a function of just the current economic climate. This type of work, there's a real backlog on contractors. Everybody's pretty busy, especially with the rain all year. Nobody really has the time or the ability to get projects like this done in the short time frame that we need it done. We had multiple conversations with Build Shakes Place today. With the funding that they came in with, and being only one contractor, Jake's Place is actually recommending that the council consider rejecting the bid. And what that's going to do is it's going to probably delay, it will delay the project, and so we can re-advertise the project back in probably January, February, and set it up for a spring build. And they checked out with their volunteer groups. Pretty much everybody's on board with that. There's no reason to award to a single bidder when the price is too high, and we'll regroup and set up for spring construction. Kind of makes sense. Even building the volunteer build date was the first week of October, but that's just for the playground. There's still more work to be done with it. So there's still a chance we're running pretty late to the year anyway. So it's probably in the best interest of everybody to reject bids, which would be on the agenda for next Tuesday.
And they recommended that?
They are on board.
I think it makes sense.
So there's no action you need to do tonight. It's unless there's any questions you have of me. Otherwise, because we just received it today, we got to send you a formal bid report. You have the ability to reject them because of the single bidder that was substantially higher than the engineer's estimate, and that would be on for next Tuesday. And that's where you take the formal vote. We send out the notice of rejection, and then we'll regroup at the end of the year, beginning of next year, and re-advertise the project, which I'm quite confident we'll get better bids and more bidders at least.
Trying to refresh my memory, what were we hoping?
We wanted it to be under 100,000. It came in like 130,000 just for the base bid. The estimate was around 90, so it's like 40 grand over. It's over like 50% higher than it is. We reviewed it with even the playground designer, and we all agreed. It's just they probably threw money at the contract, thinking that they get it. It's a home run, and it's not something that they really need at this time. And we know like at least 6 or 7 contractors had plans and specs and just didn't bid. And the word we got was just didn't have enough time. Didn't have enough time, nor do they have the ability to fit it in their schedule.
Yes, we saw that the governor approved the whole Jake's Place, the Jake's Law, and they're going to be doing, I guess, some grants and stuff. So anything further we could possibly pursue through the Green Space or whatever.
Green Acres. I will reach out to Green Acres program next week.
If we decide, I'm just saying, that would be our vehicle from now on.
I can reach out for next week if you're okay with that, to see if they have any money that's you can apply for through the Green Acres program.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, because the
law
does.
just signed it last week.
Yeah, but the law does say.
I just want to make sure that's our path forward.
Bill's Jake's Place is supposed to, the accessible playgrounds are supposed to be a high priority on Green Acres project.
Now, is Jake's Place still fundraising? Are they still going out and doing?
Yes, they are.
So they'll have a little even more time then?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're working not only fundraising in the sense of just collecting dollars, they're also working on getting contractors to donate certain aspects of the improvements.
So,
Great.
So you need authorization?
No, you don't need to do anything now, and then
Or you need to reach out for granting?
yeah, I mean, I'll just be making phone calls to see what's open and available, and I can report back at the next workshop.
Great, let's do that. We'll put it on the agenda, the agenda for Tuesday. Okay. Next, Jeff always likes to come to us with his quarterly updates, and I'm asking you to just highlight the good parts.
Let me, on a quarterly basis, we give you an update on how the operation of the Burlington County Joint Insurance Fund is doing. There are 26 communities that are in a shared service for insurance in Burlington County, and then there's excess insurance above the local $300,000 that's covered by the Burlington County Joint Insurance Fund, and that goes to the Municipal Excess Liability Fund, which again is a shared service of over 300 and some towns in the state of New Jersey. And on a quarterly basis, we review our claims report, and for for June 30th, 2018, the most recent one, we're at 80.6% claims with the JIF for the last 6 years. However, for the last 3 years, it's been 28.6, 3.7, 6.9. So it's trending in an excellent position. Secondly, the Municipal Excess Liability Fund, which would take any claims over $300,000. for Delran Township. We haven't had a claim in 5 years. Our total claims for the 6-year average is 30.6%. And then the Municipal Excess Liability Fund also provides insurance for employment practices and public officials coverage, and those numbers have been zero since the inception of the fund for Delran Township. We've never had a claim in that area. So all of the insurance coverages and updates are very positive. And we've started our 2019 budget discussions, and the numbers are pretty stable, so we do not anticipate getting an increase in the line item, because, as you might know, we have some funds in the aggregate excess liability fund that we could utilize to offset any small increase. So again, in 2019, I doubt that we're going to see an increase. There is an issue coming up with respect, it's going to be a bigger issue. It may not affect us directly here, but it will probably impact the fire commissioners, and that is work that's going on with respect to legislation for cancer claims for firemen. And since we have a fire district that will go that direct route, but the numbers are pretty significant that we anticipate. It will hit some of our towns, but it will go directly to the towns that have firemen in the fund, firemen and the fire commissioners, and would impact us. So that is something coming along the lines that will impact perhaps the general taxpayer, but won't impact our fund. That's all I have.
Great. Okay. Jim, next we're going to do the New Jersey Department of Transportation state aid applications.
Yes, the fiscal year 2019 state aid funding programs are out for, applications are due on October 8th. This is for the municipal aid grant program, bikeway grant program, and safe streets transit. These are typically yearly, programs that we get state funding to do various municipal projects. This is the municipal aid is funding Hartford Road, which we're about to start construction on, and we got safe streets of transit for a couple of years. That's paid for the sidewalks along Route 130. You actually got 3 years, which is very rare for sidewalks on Route 130, and also paid for sidewalks in Fairfield. So those 3 programs are we need to select projects for them. For the municipal aid, I did talk to Jeff. We were probably recommending to move to Conroe Road. For the municipal aid program, you really want to target a higher order street, something that is in need of resurfacing. That's, Conroe is a perfect candidate. We kind of went through Tempe Chase, Haynesville, and Hartford.
There's schools and stuff on it.
Oh yeah, that will score a lot.
Church.
It's a good candidate for a project because of the uses around it and the amount of volume that it sees. So we will, if the council's okay with that, we would have to have a resolution on the next meeting. For bikeway, we've been applying for bikeways along Hartford Road, and for safe streets of transit last year, we applied for safety improvements to Route 130, which was doing some better traffic signaling at the crosswalks, signage, and other improvements. We were not successful in those 2 grants. They're highly competitive, but we can reapply for those, if the council wants.
Do you think there's anything better than, I know we keep doing the bikeway bit, is there anything else we could think of that may be more of an interest to them? Or
the one thing is, similarly, we just applied for the transportation alternatives. That's a federal program. The problem is, the township doesn't really have any master plan elements that focus on bikeways and trails, and that's because of that, we really don't have any high scoring applications. This is something we can talk about with the planning staff, but Hartford Road is really the only place where we've talked about possibly putting a bikeway to connect with the segments on in Morristown. And the safe streets of transit, the only thing we really have is Route 130 because of the bus stops.
How are the sidewalks on Route 130? Are most of them finished, or do we still
We have the second contractor who's doing the southbound side is supposed to, we have a pre-con, I think, tomorrow or Friday. And they're going to start in September, but the northbound side is pretty much done. North of Fairview, it's not done, but there's really
nowhere we can.
Yeah, some physical constraint issues, and the use is not seen as that
Okay.
significant.
So after this, though, pretty much we've done the sidewalks on 130?
Pretty much, yeah, there's still some, little bit of gaps, but I know the DOT's doing some improvements to Haynesville Road and Chester.
Mm-hmm.
Those two signalized intersections are doing some, they're gonna actually fill in the last missing piece around those drug
good.
areas.
That's great, okay, thanks.
So,
So if that sounds generally okay, those three projects, reapplying for the two for bikeway and Safe Streets Transit, and then moving to Conroe, we'd have to have resolutions on at the next, I don't know if we're making by next Tuesday, but earlier, sometime in September.
is there a deadline we're up against?
Yeah, the October 8th is the submission deadline. We have 30 days actually to get the resolutions in after that.
Everybody on the council okay with Conroe?
Yeah, Conroe's probably gonna be a 2-year funded program,
Yeah,
probably 2 years.
that needs it. That needs it bad. Good, thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, so next we have food and beverage vending machines. Jeff, tell us about this a little bit more. This is just clean up, this is housekeeping, excuse us, we just had two conflicting ordinances. This is the,
I'll defer to Jamie.
Jamie, you
That's a
got
big
this.
one.
This is the, go ahead.
Well, it came about when we were researching the overpayment by ShopRite, and we noticed that in the actual ordinance that lays out the regulations for food and beverage vending machines, it lists one fee, but in the code for the fee ordinance, it lists a different fee. And we've always used the fee that's in the fee structure, which is the first ordinance that I put in the packet.
Right.
So we just want to amend them to get them.
So we're taking the 15 to 25, right?
And 25 is what they've been paying.
Right. Okay.
So that'll be on for the
Yeah.
public meeting for introduction.
Okay. That sounds good. Anybody have any questions or comments about that one? That's an easy one. Thanks, Jamie, for softballing that. Okay, so we have another hardship waiver, this time for 305 Nicholas Drive. And this is a case where owners are trying to sell at market value because of a hardship waiver. Jeff, give us any information that's not in here.
It's pretty much in there, is that the Housing Affordability Service, which provides the administration of our low-income houses, had this property advertised for sale, and there were no buyers. You've seen a number of these before. We can either purchase the property, which we don't want to do. We can issue a hardship waiver. The hardship waiver, the unit will remain subject to deed restrictions and affordability controls because they give the individuals the ability to market the property. So we've done these, a number of these before because we haven't had takers on a number of them.
Okay, so do we need action at the public as well for this, or do we just need to
We've always just
wait?
recommended yes by motion.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll need a motion to approve the hardship waiver for 305 Nicholas Drive, Delran.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Flode?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Ketchum?
Aye. Next on the agenda, we have our editorial bid specs and authorization to advertise. What do we need to do?
We are requesting authorization to go out to bid for janitorial services. We're not satisfied with the current service, and we're going to take action to terminate the contract, and understanding is they're not going to contest that and go out for a new bid. So we're asking for authorization to go out to bid on the contract.
And that we'll be fine with notification, there's enough time. Okay. So this is another easy one. You just need authorization from us, we need a motion.
Motion to authorize the advertising.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to authorize the advertisement of the janitorial bid.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Flode?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Ketchum?
Aye. Jeff, you got those bid specs for 2023?
Yes, the capital budget this year, you had approved a truck for Public Works Department, and this would authorize going out to bid and advertise for that capital improvement public works work. So we're just looking for authorization to move forward and put the bid package out.
Any have any questions? Okay, so I need a motion to authorize that we put that out to bid.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Flode?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Kessler?
Aye. This is, everything's out of order. This is a trick.
That's not out of order. Just
No,
paperwork, I said.
It's just,
Jim's email.
just, all right, so let's just, Jeff, I'm gonna have you talk about the sewer appeal.
We received a sewer appeal. It was after the deadline that you're permitted to issue sewer appeals. However, rather than have the clerical employees at the front desk argue about it, we just accept them and indicate to them that they're beyond the date, and then forward them to you, and you can make a determination whether you want to move forward. However, with this one, it was a property where individuals have the property in a backyard sprinkler was cracked. They didn't find out until until the spring of the year, and it was a significant amount of water that was utilized during that time. The claim, if you want to make an adjustment on the claim, we would go based on the average of the 2018 usage. So the water was not processed in the sewer plant, so it didn't impact the sewer production. So it's entirely up to you, but it was received after the deadline.
They never saw, like, I mean, when you have a leak, you see it, like, in the yard, it's going for a while, you know.
They rent the property out. So
This
it
was
was vacant for a while.
Like 80,000 excess gallons. That's like a quarter.
It's a lot of water, but over a period of how much time?
3 months.
There was about 6 months, but those were the three of the months that are utilized to calculate the sewer rates. But there was about 6 months' time where the rates were very high, and then after it was fixed, the rates came, or the consumption came down considerably.
Right. Well,
We can't use the previous year because the previous year the house was vacant, so they're pretty much zeros. Somewhere along the lines that cracked probably left that.
this was, I'm trying, it says, it refers to a garden hose, but is it the?
Where the garden hose meets the,
I don't know, in the past, we've typically tried to find a fair resolution to these. Let's, anybody have suggestions? Do we just move it to what they're actually using?
Yeah, I think that's what we've done.
I think that's what we've normally done.
He didn't use the sewer plant.
It didn't hit the sewer plant, right. If it was going to the sewer plant, it's a different story. But it has not, just went into they have to pay the water bill. So what are you recommending moving this to?
approximately 5,000 gallons a month.
Okay, so that's pretty close to the minimum?
It's fairly close.
Yeah. So whatever.
10 is the minimum, 15.
Whatever that
What
was.
was,
We okay to do that?
Yeah.
84,000.
Yeah, that's obviously.
So we changed to 15 if we go along.
Okay, we are, with that.
Yeah.
What do we need to do? Just say, okay.
We'll put a resolution together for a public meeting.
Great. Let's sort through some of this. Jim, you have the next one.
Yeah.
And that is the St. Neil outfall.
Yeah, I can be brief on this. I just want to bring the council up to speed. About a few months ago, we were contacted by the homeowner who brought to our attention that there's a storm sewer outfall that is located through his property. The township put it in, and from what it looks like from the information he was able to supply us, back in the late 60s, they approached the homeowner, the township at the time, to secure an easement and put the pipe in, and the pipe serves the storm sewer system that drains the Cambridge area, Chestnut, Second, and Main. And then the outfall, which is where the storm sewer system discharges into Dredge Harbor, is there's some erosion around it, undermining. The pipe is collapsing a little bit, and I'm still piecing together information. But over the decades, I think at one point in the 70s and maybe another point in the 90s, there was a focus on to do something at this outfall to fix it or bring it up to current acceptable conditions. Never really was done. Not sure why, but we're here today. It's considered a township infrastructure within an easement, and we need to address the condition at the end. It's failing and it needs to be corrected. So right now we're just developing certain ideas on what to do at the end treatment and gathering information on the costs that are going to be involved. The sewer department is helping us TV some of the lines upstream to so we get a clear extent on how much of the pipe might need to be replaced. We're working into permitting that's going to be required. We're going to have to go to DEP. We're going to have to go to Army Corps, but it's not going to be a heavy lift from what we're finding. Most likely, though, this is going to be something you're going to have to consider for next year's budget. So obviously, you don't have the money to do it now, and we have some different cost estimates, but a lot of that will depend on how much of that storm sewer upstream from it will need to be replaced. So we'll keep you in the loop as we gather more information, and by the end of the year, we'll have a report to bring back to you with concepts and different plans of attack that you can consider and decide on how you want to move forward, and then ultimately budget. I'm constantly speaking with the homeowner. He's a very nice gentleman, understands what's going on, everything involved, and the time frames, and is just delighted that you're considering it.
Great. I know you're on vacation, but if we could try to get, it looks like the color pictures would tell us a lot more than these did.
Yeah. I can pass this around. This is the best one.
Is that garbage that's being dumped?
That's garbage. That's looking at it from the Dredge Harbor where a storm surge has pushed up and deposited a lot of debris that has since been removed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he owns all this, and so he does maintain it, but the pipe itself, this is the actual end of the pipe. You can see there's like undermining in the pipe.
When it rains, it's a pretty significant flow. It looks like a waterfall.
Yeah, it's like a 54-inch pipe, so it's a lot of water that comes through there.
Okay.
So we'll look at that
So-
budget.
Yeah, it's gonna be so by the end of this year is when we kind of give you all your potential capital expenditures for 2019, and you'll have to decide.
But it's nothing drastic going to happen to it in the meantime, correct? That
No,
would be done?
we don't see any emergency need, no.
Okay.
It's been like that for.
Yeah, it's been like this for some time,
Okay.
but it needs to be addressed.
We wanted to bring it to this meeting so that when it comes up during the capital budget discussion, it's not the first time you've heard about it.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so what we'll do, just for those folks who are new here, is we're not going to go to closed session until the end of the meeting. That way, people that have things they want to talk about can talk about that. But we do have our reports first from various folks. We'll start with our staff and management. Jamie, our township clerk, anything tonight?
The blood drive is tomorrow from 1:30 to 6:30 p.m. Anyone, there are still about 9, I think, appointments available.
They've been very successful, thanks for, I know you work that pretty good. You're always on the phone calling. Jeff, anything for open? No report. Eric, anything? Jim, anything?
Yeah, I just
talk about your report.
Yeah, we issued a status report last Friday. If everybody got it, if you have any questions, just let me know. The biggest issue is the road program, Hartford Road, and the sidewalks of Room 130 that we talked about before on the southbound side. All those projects should be starting in hopefully right after the holiday, which is like next week. Probably give or take a few days before the contract is mobilized, but we're all going to be completed this fall.
Do we know how long Hartford Road would take?
Hartford Road's only going to be about like 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh, okay.
But the actual impact is going to be limited for when the paving, there's some concrete work they have to do first, which kind of takes the bulk of time. The paving will be done in like over a week.
Great.
The road program is going to take a couple months because there's a lot of concrete work, and all that happens first, and then the paving will be street by street by street. All the residents that live on those streets do get noticed by the contractor in advance of when there's going to be any disruption to like their driveways or
And you'll bring to council before that happens, the way they're gonna do the detouring and structure, so we can let the residents know.
Yeah, Hartford
Remember
Road.
we talked about it with the county. so
Yeah, I
I'm
mean, the
sure
Hartford,
we-
yes, I mean, Hartford Road is just gonna be alternating traffic during working hours, so it should be.
No detours off of.
No, we're not anticipating that.
That's what we, okay, we want that,
Yeah, and in the individual residential streets, 2 of the roads are just mill and resurfaced, so you always have access. Lichtenthal and Lytle will be a little bit more, impact, because it's a full reconstruction, you know, obviously. And
okay.
so we get more
Yeah,
motivation.
we'll talk when we get close, but I'm just saying.
And, you know, the Fairview Street with the island in there.
Yeah, we're trying to meet with DOT, we asked them to meet, they finally got back to us, so we should be meeting the first 2 weeks in September.
Oh, good.
That's where we want to get just their blessing to file an application, so we don't waste our time.
I would like to.
And I don't know, I'll bring up abrasive alloys too. We did get a grant for the next round of investigation, and once the check should be in the mail.
It's good news. Get that cleaned up.
Yeah,
That's
just a little bit. What are we investigating now?
Well, it's always been soil and groundwater contamination.
Right.
So with soil and groundwater contamination as a process, first you gotta identify potential areas of concern. Then you gotta do 1 round of testing to see if that area of concern is actually, there's contamination. And then if you do find contamination, you gotta go a 3rd round of testing to kind of delineate the contamination, like how wide is it, how deep is it, how much are we gonna have to dig out. And that's where we're at now. We're doing what's called a remedial investigation, where certain contaminants were found that, you know, to develop a plan to mitigate it or remediate it, determine costs and so forth, you gotta, you know, identify the constraints. So that's what this round of funding pays for. A sidebar to that, we did meet, before the DEP gave us this next round of funding, we did meet out there, go over what's going on out there, the nature of the contamination, which is nothing significant. It's mostly confined to the soils on site, nothing that's like spreading or like that's a public health concern. But they did give us the green light to start trying to demo the structure out there. So I've been meeting with some demo contractors and some other consultants that helps with the demo process of a building like that. And so hopefully we're working at it simultaneously and talking to Jeff about it. So hopefully we'll come to you in a few meetings to let you know exactly when we could probably bring this thing down.
That'd be great. That's worrisome, you know. just
Yeah,
for
it's
safety.
definitely
People walk in there, it's very old.
awkward structure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed it first. This one.
Is that it, Jim?
Yes.
Great, thanks. So, we don't have any other staff, so I'll go to members of council, starting with Ward 2. Dan?
Yes, I was invited to the ribbon cutting for the new Holy Cross Preparatory Academy, the former Holy Cross High School and Holy Cross Academy on Saturday. And as an alumni, a proud alumni, I'm glad to see that the school is still open, and had a very enthusiastic bunch there on Sunday morning, and I want to wish them well. And then Labor Day holiday, I as a Labor guy, I hope everybody enjoys their holiday. And after that, school's going to start, and I would hope that people would pay a little attention when they're driving. I hear from folks all the time, the street I live on, we have people cutting through from Creek Road to Hartford Road, but in other areas of town, I've heard about speeding, and I just wish people in a residential area would think about the kids and just slow down a little bit. There's plenty of roads you can go faster on. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. And Councilman at Large, Todd?
No report this evening, thank you.
And from Ward 1, Virginia? From Ward 3, Patty?
Yes, I had a resident contact me, and he was concerned about the light at Fairview and Hartford, you know, by the shopping mall. Now, I understand that it's been on Facebook or whatever, but he did write me saying that he knew I wasn't on Facebook, and did I know about this. So I told him I would just bring it to council, and he feels that, you know, the timing of the lights. And I know it's been an issue before, and I said to him that it wasn't the first time, but I would bring it up again tonight to see if there's anything that we can do. Is there any, or is it just the way it is?
Yeah, I mean, the timing is fine, is okay, it's just that the actuation is, there's an issue with the actuation, which it means is like if there's nobody there, that side's still getting green, but I know Jeff and I talked about it, and Jeff's reached, I don't wanna speak for you, but, Jeff reached out to, Signal.
Well, we've reached out to the company that, originally we reached out to the county, because they have they utilize the company that, basically we would go to repair it, to see if we could get a shared service with them. And, that did not work out, and it's not something that they would involve us with. So we've reached out to Technipro, we're waiting for an answer to get back from them, the individuals that will work on it. We do have funds in one of the previous capital budgets to address it, so.
With a sensor or something?
To get the sensor repaired.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Oh,
Then,
is
should
it-
I, oh,
No, go ahead.
what, in responding to this resident, at this point, it's just we're working on it, you know, that we're looking into it and it is a sensor situation. Okay, thanks.
So it's a bad sensor, is that what it is, Jeff? Okay.
It's actually messing.
Because I saw the same thing on Facebook and a very unscientific study, the next time I was at the light, it was 3 minutes till it changed. I didn't think that was necessarily very excessive, but.
It's missing a video camera.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, thank you.
Anything else, Beth?
No, that's all, thank you.
So I'd just like to say, just mention with the passing of Senator McCain, you know, he was a guy that understood the art of compromise and had an incredible sense of civility, and those are the kind of statesmen that we need in government. And even though he was on a different side of the aisle than that I reside, I thought he was a great guy and respected him a whole bunch. So that was really, I have no other items to report. We have still lots to do tonight. So I'll go to announcements from the mayor.
I just have one thing, I want to, I guess, recognize the police. I don't know if you guys knew, but we had an officer actually on duty. Luckily, he's still alive. I was actually in Jeff's office and I watched the picture on Facebook, but he was actually, I don't know if you guys heard, but he was actually on 130 issuing a ticket to someone, and his car was, I don't even know if he was issuing a ticket or what, but pulled over like he's supposed to on the angle, okay, to protect him when he's out. And he happened to be in his vehicle, and the person came down 130 and nailed him in the rear and totaled the vehicle. And fortunately, the officer is fine, and thank God. But at the same time, I mean, even though Delran may not be the roughest town, it shows you the kind of situations that the police can be in. So we should just give them kudos for what they do. That's all I have to say.
Very good. Thank you. So this is I'm going to ask for a motion to go into public.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So here's what happens for the folks that are here with us for the first time. We're going to go, we typically will go around the room and just see who has comments. This is very small and informal, but this is not kind of a group participation thing. This is a conversation where people can ask questions or make comments to council. And I'm, as president of council, charged with keeping everything moving along smoothly. So we'll try to do our best to answer your questions, and we'll just ask everyone to remain calm and level-headed. So I know you've done it. Dan, do you have anything to say with us this evening?
Certainly, and I'm going to stand, I think better on.
I need your name and address.
Sure. My name is Daniel Rosenberg. I'm an attorney. My address is 9 Garden Street, that's in Mount Holly.
Last name again, I'm sorry.
Rosenberg, Rosenberg. I represent Kevin Jordan. Kevin Jordan is here, along with his wife Elise. If it's all right, I'd like to stand and address the council.
That's fine.
So I'm here, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting most of the council people or you, Mr. Mayor. So I don't want to single anyone out. One of the reasons I'm here, Mr. Burrell, is because of some of the Facebook media that's been going on. If the council is not aware, Kevin is a football coach. And he's been a coach at Delran Athletic with the Delran Athletic Association for a number of years. There has been a Facebook campaign to have him removed as a coach. And some of the information we just ignore, because that's generally what all the Delran Athletic Association meeting. Let me take a step back. There's an individual who would like to have Kevin removed from coaching. In an effort to do so, she has contacted the Delran Athletic Association and indicated that he shouldn't be coaching. Delran Athletic Association has decided that he can coach. And as a result of that, there's been continued communications on Facebook. I wish I wasn't on Facebook, but unfortunately I am. And
Yeah, that's why I'm not here.
And we've been, my client and I have been ignoring those posts. I saw a post that was brought to the attention of one of the council members. And the council member asked for some additional information. What I can, and what we're here to do is to provide accurate information to the council. I would submit there's nothing for the council to do. And I'll explain that in a moment, but I'm very concerned about what information you get because it's significant. Mr. Jordan was, let me take a step back, in November of 2016, so we've got some time here, there was an allegation. There's an allegation by the woman who contacted the council member, Mr. Burrell.
Yes, that's correct.
This is her daughter. There was an allegation. This allegation went up to the county prosecutor's office. The county prosecutor's office, which is the highest law enforcement agency we have in the county, evaluated this. The complaining witness in that case has law enforcement as a significant other, as a husband. This was investigated. It was determined that there were no felony charges and the matter was litigated here, the Delran Municipal Court. On December 20th of 2017, the matter was dismissed. It wasn't dismissed with any conditions. It wasn't a conditional plea. This was a dismissal, which in the eyes of the law means that you are absolutely 100% innocent. Your record can be if you would like to have it expunged. There is finality to the criminal justice system, and we're not having it now. One of the issues that was brought up at the municipal court hearing was whether or not Mr. Jordan would be allowed to coach. And our municipal court judge indicated very clearly that there is no prohibition in coaching. And in fact, when he did coach, it was not a prohibition of any form of no contact. So the parties agreed to it. It was easy to stay away from each other. That was in December. We're here in August. Mr. Jordan starts coaching again, and there is a campaign that goes on Facebook indicating that not only should Kevin be not be allowed to coach, but then there is an allegation of an expunged record from 14 years ago. I want everyone to know that disclosing an expunged record is a criminal offense. It's under 2C 52-30. If you know that something's been expunged and you disclose it, that's a disorderly person's level offense. This information has been disseminated to the public. Knowing that, we went to the Delran Athletic Association hearing, which was another public forum. I was there. They confirmed that they ran a criminal background check of Kevin Jordan. They confirmed that he disclosed all of the allegations against him, and that even despite not having to, he disclosed this expunged record. They analyzed his prior history, spoke with individuals in the community, and they elected to have him stay. I don't know what authority the council would have to overrule that, but the next thing we know, and we went, and one of the things we indicated at that meeting was that disclosing expunged records is a criminal offense. So no one can say that they're not aware of that. And I'm discouraged to see that the council members are not only being provided misinformation, but are continuing to get misinformation. Again, I don't think that there's anything this council can or should do. We agree that the children must be safe, that there should be criminal background checks. The Delran Athletic Association already does that. If you were to run a criminal background check on, well, let me take a step back. One of the issues that may be brought up is that Mr. Jordan had his teaching license revoked. And a concern may be, well, if Mr. Jordan can't teach children, how can he coach them? I would submit to you that that is an absurd argument. The Because unless you have a teaching certificate, none of us are allowed to teach children, but we're all allowed to coach them. You're also not aware, and I'll make you aware now, that the appellate division heard his case. That there was an administrative law judge who submitted that his license shouldn't be revoked, that the appellate division heard that appeal, and said, we're not going to overrule the underlying decision, but he's eligible to be reinstated. And if you read that appellate division decision, forgive me guys, I'm a lawyer, so this is what I do. I read appellate division decisions. But it indicates, and I'm quoting, the question of present unfitness is not so palpably obvious that clear error in the board's decision may be discerned. And what they're talking about is their only decision in that case was to determine whether or not the board's decision was arbitrary, capricious, and unreasonable. So far afield that no one on God's green earth could actually think that way. They couldn't come to that finding, but they did go on to say, if Jordan's assertion that the events of 2003 were aberrational, if he continues a life of rectitude for the foreseeable future, he may be able to successfully invoke the reapplication benefits under the statute and regain his teaching credentials. That was from 2009. It's now 2018. And I would submit to you, if he applies, he's going to get his license back. And the reason he's not applying is because he doesn't need his license because he's not a teacher anymore. I would also submit to you that if you randomly drug tested each and every teacher, or excuse me, each and every coach, any one of them who comes up with anything untoward in their system, they're not eligible to coach, or excuse me, they're not eligible to teach. But we don't have a drug testing policy. So the point I'm making is these aren't apples to apples. And when there's information being provided about a sexual predator, that's just simply not true. In fact, that's just plain wrong. We've never been accused of a sexual related or charged with a sexual related crime. We're not a registered sex offender. And in fact, the charge that we were facing, which was again dismissed, was not a sex-related crime, and also doesn't require Megan's Law if there was a conviction. And this was not a situation where the complaining witness didn't have the opportunity to speak with the county prosecutor's office. I can confirm there were many conversations with the county prosecutor's office. And having represented Kevin in that case, I can tell you that the victim had significant input. The victim, or the complaining witness in this case, was at every court proceeding, and was at the court proceeding when the matter was ultimately dismissed. Again, I don't think there's anything for the council to do, or there's any action for it to take. If there's any information that's been provided to the council, I want it to be accurate, so whatever decision you make is based on the facts and not merely allegations. I very much appreciate you hearing me. Thank you.
Thank you. So, what I think would be appropriate, if there's anyone else here that wants to comment on this same issue, that would save us from talking about somebody's curbs and then getting back to this issue. So I'm going to ask if there are other folks. First, absolutely, Councilman.
Real quick, I just want to let the record be clear. People, I wish I wasn't on Facebook half the time, but people tend to tag me in things.
Stay off it.
I view my job is to work for residents, no matter what their opinions are on either side. All I ask is for the information, and I send it to Jeff and our legal team. So.
And to be clear, I didn't take any issue. It just.
Oh, and I understand your point of trying to set the record clear and giving all sides. I appreciate that. I just want to make it clear that under no circumstance am I advocating for either side of anything. I view it as call me. I put my cell phone number on Facebook. People call me, text me, email me. So that was all it was about.
No worries.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. So are there others that would like to speak about this issue? Yes, sir. Please. You don't have to stand. You can stand, but you don't have to.
Well,
just state your name and address for the record.
Brandon Connor, 881 Fawn Street. So obviously I'm the other half. I'm the law enforcement, as you spoke of. So there was an incident, obviously, that took place back in October of 2016. There was an investigation. Whether it was done right, that's not my decision. I wasn't involved in the investigation. It involved my wife and the prosecutor's office in Delran Police Department. There was a charge. He was charged with harassment offense of touching. Whether that's a crime or not, that's somebody that took something from somebody that they're not going to get back. When you put your hands on somebody to touch somebody and they're not asking for it, that's not okay. And for that person to be coaching, be around kids, it's questionable. Who knows, what can happen. Look at everything coming out lately. I'm not sitting here, I'm not going to ask you to make a decision. Obviously there was a lot of stuff on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. I don't follow it. I'm here in person to address it. I addressed it at the meeting, I'll address it now. That's my wife, I have to stand here. This is my responsibility. So all I'm simply is to put a face to whatever was going on, to let you know that there was an incident and it did happen, and that we obviously brought it to the AA. They rendered a decision. I'm confused, they voted no, they switched it, appealed it, now it's yes again. Simply, we're just bringing it to you to let you know that there was an incident, that it did happen, and that you guys are the committee for the town to oversee the town. You guys are in charge of the fields, to bring it to you for your discussion. Obviously, I'm not going to go backlash and go through Facebook. Simply stand here, bring it to you guys, and we'll just keep bringing it up. And that's our stance. But there was an incident, whether it was worked out or not, whether it was a guilty plea or not, there was a statement, and there's still a charge that stemmed from that statement. So a judge found enough probable cause to issue a complaint. Whether it was indictable, disorderly person's offense or not, there was a crime. It did happen, and there was an agreement to go to counseling for it. So that's my stance. And I won't be on Facebook, just so you know, that's not me. I'll come to you as a person if anybody has a problem.
Is there anyone else regarding this issue? Yes.
I'm the one of the victims.
State your name and address.
My name is Jessica Connard, 881 Font Street. As everything my husband already said, I'm not going to repeat, you don't need me to. But I will say that I have two sons that play all sports in this town. I put my trust in the town and the association to make my kids safe and everybody else around them. I've been friends with the Jordans for many years through sports, and I agree that he was a great coach. They had a great family, great wife, great everything. We were all best friends. And there was one day that something was taken away from me. I'm not going to go into what everything happened, but this is why I'm standing up here, because I'm not just the only one. I'm just the only one that has came through with everything, and I'm not going to go away.
Excuse me?
Okay.
So, I understand.
And just like I said, I'm not going to go into everything.
So-
I'm just saying that I'm not the only one. Okay. Anyway. Whatever happened to him 14, 15, 16 years ago, because that whole thing keeps changing, whatever he did, I don't care if you had it expunged or not. What you did was done. And it's not illegal because you can Google his name on Facebook. If it's illegal that I'm talking about it, then maybe it shouldn't be accessed on Facebook. If you type in Kevin Jordan, Cinnaminson, New Jersey, everything you want to know what he did is there. There's a reason why your teacher's license was revoked. You obviously did something wrong to somebody. It doesn't matter how long ago it was, how you got it erased, or anything else, or how much money you're paying a lawyer to come to township meetings. What happened, happened. You've violated many, or so far, 2 people, because I can say that, right? 2 people that it's out there. But this is what it is. You think I want to come here on a Tuesday night and tell everybody my story and be embarrassed about what happened to me? One of my really great friends' husband did something to me, and I can say that. Do I want to tell the township of Riverside this, or Delran this? No, but I want the safety of our kids in this town to be okay. That's all I want. I didn't win in court because of the way things were taken care of, and me having to face them and everything like that. And they have half of Delran is like on their friends, so it's like me and all their friends. So if this is what I have to do, I'm not going to go away. I'll do it for 16 years if I have to. I just want the kids in this town to be okay. And another thing is okay, so he can coach in AA because it's a private association. But he can't go on and coach his kids or anybody else's kids in middle school or go on to be a high school coach, right? Because he's not allowed to be in schools anymore. Why is he not? It's black and white. There's no lines of gray anymore. He's violated people, and he needs to have some kind of payback for it. Something needs to happen. There's no lines of gray anymore. It's black and white. You can't teach, you can't coach. You do something to violate other people multiple times, because the other victim was twice, me once, and whoever else is out there. But something needs to be done. And I don't think him being allowed around kids is the way to solve it. And that's it.
Thank you.
So, if the council has any questions, I'm happy to address them. I can tell you that the statement of the complaining witness, some of that information isn't accurate. He didn't violate anybody.
I
He's
forgot you
innocent.
were there.
Yeah,
So,
Sorry.
excuse me,
So-
Mr. Rosenberg, Council President. if I may.
Yes.
With all due respect to both sides, this is not a tribunal.
Fair enough.
We're not here to retry the criminal matter, however that went down, nor are we here to retry the revocation of Mr. Jordan's license. The AA is a private entity, as Ms. Connor just stated, recognizes. Right, wrong, or indifferent. They made the decision to reinstate him as a coach. It's my legal opinion that this governing body does not have the ability to overrule the AA's decision. If the Connors have an issue with the Athletic Association, they should take it up with the Athletic Association. They are well within their right to come here and voice their concerns as they've done. But we are not a tribunal. We're not here to retry any criminal matter. We're not here to retry whether or not Mr. Jordan should be a teacher. And we're not here to assess blame in any way, shape, or form. Mr. Rosenberg wants to set the record straight according to his view and his client's view of what happened. The Connors wanted the council to hear that the council's heard, but respectfully, there's nothing this governing body can do in terms of the Athletic Association's decision to reinstate Mr. Jordan as a coach there.
Our only not responsibility, but our only role here is really we provide fields to the AA.
Correct. Correct, and permit's been issued, and we have a use of fields ordinance. If the governing body wanted to adopt a background check ordinance, certainly you could do that. I have done that in other municipalities. I heard tonight from Mr. Rosenberg that the Athletic Association already does that. I don't know that that's the case. I don't know if they provide the results of those background checks to the township or not, but certainly this governing body could, notwithstanding the fact that the AA already does it, could also adopt an ordinance requiring background checks, and if the governing body wants me or our office to prepare that ordinance, we'd be happy to do that.
So, we do have, the president of the AA, just arrived, so, right, so.
We aren't in public,
Right.
I mean, if somebody else wants to speak on this.
So, he nodded his head in agreement that they do voluntarily do background checks. We don't have a policy that we mandate that in order to get the permit. You know, maybe we should, I think maybe that's something that we should do. It would be, an overarching, demand for that, for every coach in every sport on any field. So, unlike the AA, the smaller organizations may not be able to do that, but I think in this day and age, it's probably something that we should do. Whether or not it would address this situation directly, is not something that, this is, we're not a court of law. So we always refer to, what happened in court, and I think that all we can do is make every attempt that we can to provide a safe environment for the kids. If the AA's decision, based on whatever their criteria was, that it was safe, and they already did a background check, and there's no, I'm way out of my league here from a legal perspective. If there's no, would we have authority to do anything other than create a policy that requires background checks?
No, not in my opinion, President, no. And whether people understand it, appreciate it, like it or not, some people don't like the laws, I have to say, I agree with Mr. Rosenberg. If the matter was expunged, I don't know if it was or wasn't, but I'll take Mr. Rosenberg's word for it. It is, in the eyes of the law, a legal fiction. So if you were to do a criminal background check, presumably, it wouldn't show up. people may not like that, I understand that, but that's the law. There's lots of laws that people don't like. For example, the First Amendment says you can burn the American flag. Lots of people I know don't like that, but that's the law. It protects your right in this country to burn the flag if you want to. So, your point's well taken, we're not a court of law, but we could, to protect the youth, to the extent that the AA uses our fields, this governing body could adopt a background check ordinance, and as I said, I've done it in other towns that we represent, and I'd be happy to draft one for the governing body's consideration, if the governing body would let me go.
I think we should, I think we should do that.
I think we ought to at least have a conversation.
Right. Can you, well, I don't wanna engage you to draft that ordinance until we need to have a conversation. If we need to have a conversation, do we need to get more information?
I mean, to Dan's point, I have questions about open space versus the township, all that stuff, so I think we wanted to discuss it. I think we should just table it and put it on an agenda as an item, and review
Yeah,
it.
this wasn't on the agenda, this is in the public comment period.
Right.
And on the agenda, we'll
So
have a conversation about
let's
it.
do that
People
for
can
next
ask
work
questions.
session, and be prepared to give us whatever background you can. I know that, whatever policy issues that we need to address, let's do that when we're prepared to do that.
Sure.
Bob, did you have a comment?
I mean, to your point, the background checks are done every 2 years for all our coaches. Any questions of anything comes up on a background check, we talk to the police department. So they're engaged, so they know what's going on. We've also asked the police department if someone's out there that has an issue, let us know prior to doing a background check. They might have something that's not on the background check that they're aware of, and they've told us that as well. So we work coincide with the police department if we have any questions. But everyone is required every 2 years, no matter what, as well as the board.
Right, and that's everybody that's.
That's everybody.
Every adult.
And, this is just a question. I know when I was a teacher, I had to get fingerprinted. Is that part of the background check, fingerprinting, or is that just something completely different?
That's the ordinances that I have prepared for other towns, it is.
Fingerprinting is
Yes.
part of it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all coordinated through the police department.
Okay.
Yeah, ours is not.
Oh, yours is not, okay.
I can just, I don't wanna step on too many toes, but in order to get your criminal background, you have to provide your fingerprints, and that's how you're able to obtain it.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's in the ordinance.
Okay, so maybe we do that. That could be added, we need to.
Is there anyone else that would like to add comments about this, and then we'll continue? So we'll put it on the next work session agenda. Our attorneys will have some information prepared as to what our options are, and we'll move forward from there.
Can we have a sample ordinance included in the agenda packet? Is that possible?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're moving along. Do you have anything additional?
No, nothing to do with that, we're gonna step out. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, those of the council, appreciate your time.
Do you have anything? Brian, I know
I'll wait
you're
till-
professional. Sir?
I do not.
Sir? Bob, anything else?
No, I just want to touch on, I mean, obviously, I heard this was happening, so that's why I stopped up. The batting cages are in finally at the park. We'll have turf that's being left over from Jerry put in the cages, just so you guys know. And they'll be opened hopefully next coming weeks. The last batch of bricks were laid, so they're done. It looks pretty nice. And we'll continue to get some other stuff done in there. I think Patty and I got some things going on for looking to try and do something in the fall. But for the most part, that's taken care of. I want to say, Ty did a great job, and everyone else involved with the night out was a nice change of pace, something different for everybody.
When you say turf, is it grass or is it?
We're gonna use the turf from the small field. Jerry has extra pieces, so we'll put that in there to keep it a little bit more durable, so it doesn't get muddy, doesn't get damaged. We do have soft netting going inside, which is Jerry has in the back that we'll put in.
How about the signage, did the baseball?
Signage is ordered for the last couple sponsors, and so to pick up a check from Barlow and ShopRite. Get the last couple picnic tables, and then we'll sit down, we'll get everything transferred over, what's left of the money, and we should be good to go for the next phase.
And then by that phase, all the money will go to the
We'll
township.
be done, then we'll put the payment process with them. I mean, the only reason we continue to take the money is because we're 501c3, so they need to write it up.
Let me get a break. Let me get a break.
You want it to be thick as a brick, and that, brick on the wall.
Anything else, Bob?
Nope, thank you.
Glad to see you're feeling better and well.
You look
great,
he
you
looks a
look
lot
great.
better, let me tell you. He
Yes.
looks awful. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Tom? Sir?
Chuck Stoll, 184 Natalie Road. I didn't catch, did we skip over the Rancocas Creek National Water Trail?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why. We've already talked about it and passed an ordinance, or resolution, I'm sorry. It's been a long day. We passed a resolution in November of last year. So there was no need to come and ask us to pass a resolution supporting the, and I should have mentioned that because that was the original agenda. So yes.
Yeah,
yes,
okay,
we did it. Thank you
okay,
for-
I didn't miss it.
You
I was
didn't miss it.
multitasking, so.
You
All right,
didn't
yeah,
miss
that's it.
So,
I have one thing there I forgot, sorry about it. The EA doesn't take this situation lightly. I mean, we've conferred with an attorney, we've been involved with that. I mean, both parties have left. You know, the incident that the second issue, whatever it is, he said, she said, it's out of our way. We have nothing to do with that. But we've taken that under consideration, everything. Obviously, number one concern is children's safety, so I don't want anyone to think that we put that on the back burner. That's always the number one.
okay, thank you. Since we have no other comments from the public, we'll ask for a motion to come out of public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, aye. Opposed? So we're back in our regular meeting. I ask for a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Take five.
Opposed? All right, so we're going into closed session. We're gonna stop the tape.